Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Netflix and Marvel's original series, The Punisher Season 2. And probably the last season, probably. In case you don't know, this is how I do my reviews. I give a short synopsis and then I talk about what I like, and then I talk about what I didn't like, and then I add in a fun bit at the end before giving my rating. Punisher time! Returning to Netflix for a second season, former Marine turned vigilante Frank Castle, still played by Jon Bernthal, has been living a quiet life on the road until he suddenly becomes embroiled in the attempt of the murder of a young girl. She's played by Georgia Wigham. As he is drawn into the mystery surrounding her and those in pursuit of the information she holds, Castle attracts a new target on his back, and that of old enemies as well, force him to confront whether he should accept his destiny and embrace the life as the Punisher. In season 1 of The Punisher, we got to see Frank Castle exact revenge on those responsible for the death of his wife and children. It was bloody, it was brutal, it was awesome. It was a really great first season. Now Frank must take out the bad guys again while trying to protect those he cares about in the only way he knows how, really, by punishing the bad guys with a very, very deep voice. I think I could give Batman a run for his money. I'm the Punisher. When it ended. So what I liked. The first 3 episodes of season 2 of The Punisher were very surprising for me, and it was a welcome change to what I was expecting. These episodes, I felt, set the tone and pace for somewhat for the whole series. The whole of season 2 is basically about broken people trying to pick up the pieces of their lives, and because of the weight of what happened in season 1, you rarely feel for Frank when he's brought back into that violence. Although you wouldn't have much of a season if he wasn't.
Here's what it is, I guess.
Yeah, so he's tried to leave this world behind, and you feel for when he's brought back in. We see Frank in a setting we aren't quite used to seeing him in the beginning. He's a bit vulnerable, a little bit, because he doesn't really tell you he's vulnerable, but he kind of shows you what he's going through. And the series in the beginning shows you what Frank is trying to escape that life, and you do feel for him. However, Frank can't help himself be the good guy and come to the rescue of a young girl and cue one of the best damn bar fights I've ever seen. I think this is basically what season 2 is all about. Brutal fight scenes spread out throughout 13 50-minute episodes, and in between the violence is some of the best damn character development you're likely to see on TV, or some of the best I've seen in recent years, really. I've often said that your good guy can only be as good as your bad guy, and I think that's true, and I think that's been proven with bad guys like Kilgrave and Wilson Fisk in Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Fantastic bad guys that with some great character backstory you can sometimes get emotionally engaged with and affected by. And even though they are bad guys, you still feel for them. The same, I think, can be said here. Frank has 2 nemesi? So he has 2 nemesis in season 2, and what I loved about these guys is the time that the season 2 takes to develop them. I felt like I got to see them grow into what they become, and I'm really trying to dodge any spoilers here, so sorry if I'm being a little bit cryptic. What makes these characters really work is the acting. Jon Bernthal's performance as the Punisher fits perfectly this time round. Not that he didn't in the first season, but this time I really did feel like I was watching the Punisher rather than watching someone become the Punisher. Ben Barnes as Billy Russo has some of the greatest emotional dialogue scenes I've seen from a bad guy character on TV recently. I was absolutely riveted by his performance. I 100% bought the turmoil he was going through. And then there's Jon Stewart as John Pilgrim. He has this on-screen presence that every time you see him on screen you wonder what's about to happen. You can feel that the shit is about to hit the fan. The stories of these two intertwine beautifully with Frank Castle's story. I really enjoyed how all the stories came to a head at the end. You get to see Frank have to deal with the one, and you have to get to see Frank deal with the other. And because of how well they've developed these storylines and that the story has taken time to develop these characters, it had so much more weight when you get to the ultimate scenes that you know are coming. And I thought it was a very clever way to do this. What I did not like. The first 3 episodes of season 2 was excellent, especially with some of the most violent and visceral action scenes I've seen. from a Marvel TV series. So when they slowed down the pace for the story, it took me a few episodes to get back into it. In fact, this was a series that I didn't binge in one sitting. It took me a few days to get through the 13 episodes, which isn't surprising. They're each an hour long. It's quite a long series, and so it did kind of dip in the middle. Also, this may just be what I felt, but Billy Russo's character went through a big beating at the end of season 1. His face was all messed up. The Punisher really cut it up with that mirror, and I really felt like in season 2 his face should have been more scarred, and there must be some amazing doctors working in the Marvel universe, and they fixed him up, because it just looked like a kind of hero or bad guy scars. You know, it didn't look like I was expecting to see it. I really thought that I would have added to his character, the depth of his character, how scarred he is on the inside. They would have shown more of that on the outside, and I don't know, that was just a personal preference. I think I would have liked to seen him kind of more grotesque and his face ruined that way. The next thing is not really to do with the Punisher, but the state of the Marvel Netflix series as a whole. While I was watching, I couldn't help but wonder if I was ever going to get to see another Punisher TV series like this again on Netflix. Or was I ever going to see the Punisher again portrayed this way, because it's so good. And if we're honest, it'll probably only take a couple of days once this season has aired before Netflix cancels it. I know we are getting Jessica Jones season 3 still, I hope, but I believe that that's going to be the last of the Marvel Netflix series. So in the back of my mind while I was watching, I was wondering whether I should be even invested in these characters again. But I think you should, because season 2 in my opinion is one of the best. Even with the slow dip in the middle, I really enjoyed it. And for those wondering if the violence has kept up with the Punisher standards, yes it has. There were a couple of scenes where I looked away because it was really brutal. Brutal's an understatement. So don't miss out on this series. If you're a fan of the Marvel Netflix series or you're a fan of the Punisher, it's probably one of my favorite yet. I don't know if it is my favorite, I'll have to let it sink in a bit more. However, even with a couple of the small issues, I'm still going to give The Punisher Season 2 an A+. It deserves it. It's well acted, directed and shot. It will definitely be on my watch again list. Thanks again for watching my review. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and for more reviews like this, consider subscribing and hitting that bell so that you don't miss out on any reviews from me. Thank you so much for your support, and until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.